in the audience, but I don't think in any weight class we've had 4 guys with this much dynamite in both of their hands up on the stage right now. I mean, you're talking about guys that are just lights out across the board. You know, I didn't know much about SEALs, and my guys told me, hey, you got to watch this guy. And then I'm like, okay, we're deep in the light heavyweight division. And it's just a human highlight reel, right? And, you know, Alvarez is just a world-class fighter. We know what he has. When we signed him and, you know, did the Kovalev fight, we probably expected a repeat of the first fight. And had an off night, had an injury, he's coming back. But I don't think, there's no excuses there. But I don't believe, in any case, these 4 guys are in the top of the elite of the light heavyweight division. And in the next 6 months to a year, you could see any of them or all of them having a piece of the title.
Yeah,
so that's the exciting thing about that division and where we've put our flag.
And I think that's kind of what these guys feel like they have to prove. I mean, for you, Eladir, and Gardy, you'll translate for me, thank you. You've been at the elite level in the light heavyweight division, being a world champion. Most would say that's where you're trying to get back to. So what does this fight mean for you in your quest to get back to world title opportunity status?
¿Quieres llegar otra vez? ¿Qué significa esta pelea para ti para lograr ese objetivo?
Bueno, primero que todo, buenas tardes.
First of all, good evening.
Gracias a Top Rank y a mi promotor Ivo Michel por esta nueva oportunidad.
Thank you to Top Rank and my promoter Ivan Michel for this opportunity.
Bueno, esta pelea significa mucho para mí porque siento nuevamente hambre de ser campeón.
This fight means a lot for me because I feel the hunger again, the hunger to become world champion once again.
Y tengo que dar lo mejor de mí como el año anterior para volver a ser campeón del mundo, que es lo que quiero nuevamente.
And I have to give my best like I did like last year to become champion once again.
Y primero tengo que eliminar ese obstáculo. Y el obstáculo que tengo ahora es mi próximo combate el 18 de enero frente a un boxeador como Michael Steele. Y voy a darlo todo para...
Then Joe, and then we'll go to the fighters. Why don't you just introduce to me, and then I'll introduce Joe as the co-promoter, and then we can wrap it up to the fighters. All right, you got it. Sounds good.
And the call is now live. You may begin.
Hey, thank you everyone for joining us today for the kickoff of the Top Rank on ESPN 2020 schedule, featuring a highly anticipated light heavyweight battle, 2 of the hardest punchers in the division, Philly's own Jesse Hollywood Hart and Joe Smith Jr., both of whom are former world title challengers. They will headline on ESPN starting at 10 p.m. Eastern this Saturday night from the Hard Rock, Atlantic City. And while this match is not for a world title, it is personal. It was Joe Smith, the union construction worker from Long Island, who knocked out Philadelphia legend Bernard Hopkins through the ropes and into retirement in 2016. Jesse Hart considers Bernard Hopkins a mentor, so this fight is more than a step towards a potential world title shot. This is certainly personal. To kick off the call, I want to head it over to Top Rank's president, Todd DeBuff.
Hey, Evan. Thanks a lot. Good for being with you, everybody. Happy New Year. You know, when we announced the fight, did our kind of upfront in New York in December. You know, we didn't. I got up at the press conference there, and there was a lot of tension between these 2 guys. So I think one writer came to me and they go, you know, I was really excited about this fight. I was kind of excited. I wasn't sure what was going to come up of it. But after the press conference and seeing both the passion and the determination Jesse and Joe have towards this match, and where they are in a hot division that is rich of great fighters and obviously great punchers, it came true to form in their press conference dialogue. So it's an exciting way to start off the year. Nothing like starting it out with big punchers. I'd like to introduce Joe DeGuardia, who's a longtime friend and business partner of Top Rank and done stuff with us, who has developed and guided Joe Smith's career. Let him make a couple comments, and then we'll open this up to all of you guys to ask questions. Go ahead, Joe.
Thank you very much, Todd. I want to thank you guys. It's always a pleasure working with Top Rank and you and Bob, and I'm looking forward to another thrilling night of ESPN action that's been provided. This Saturday night, I'm thrilled to have Joe Smith headlining that card. I can't wait to see Jesse Hart and Joe Smith. As you mentioned, these are two of the hardest punching light heavyweights in the game, in a division that's stacked with talent. And both of these guys have over 40 knockouts between them, and they're really fighting each other for another world championship opportunity. Two guys that are world title challengers fighting each other for another shot. I always love watching Joe Smith Jr. fight. He's so exciting. And I know he's bringing down carloads of fans that are going to be in Atlantic City to watch him. Working class people coming down to see the true working man fighter. And I'm really looking forward to this fight, really looking forward to Saturday night, and I think the fans are in for a treat. So thank you all, and I'll leave it to you guys.
Evan, you there? Yeah. Why don't we? I can. Jesse, why don't you give a couple comments, and then Joe, you give a couple comments. Tell us how training's going. Both of you guys give a couple comments what the fight means, and then let's open it up to the press and let them ask some questions. So Jesse, why don't you go first?
Well, the fight, is beyond. Like, I'm not looking at what's next. I'm not looking at a world title challenge next. With this fight starting off the year, it's been rough for my city since 2016. That Joe Smith Bernard Hopkins fight happened. I'm not looking at nothing else. This is like I said at the press conference. This is not business. This is not business. This is not for bragging rights neither. This is something that my family, put on me. So this fight is more of a family thing. So when you handle something family, like with family, it's personal. That's family. So at the end of the day, for me, on my end, this is for my family. This is not only for myself. This is for my family. This is for my big brother, Bernard Hopkins, and January 11th it's so close. It's time. Training's been going good. No injuries. Everything is really, really great. Everything just went good this training camp. I think I've been more focused than I've ever been, because when something becomes personal, it's beyond. It's aside from business. It doesn't matter about the politics of it. It doesn't matter about the ratings and none of that. This is, like I said, it's probably business for him and probably just another fight, but for me, it's not. I don't look at what's next. When I asked, Todd the Buff, Bob Dunn, I'm ready for this fight, I looked at it from, I had just something that I had to do for myself. So, January 11th is here, and January 11th is, close. So, like I said, I'm in the best condition I can be in. I'm prepared, and we see what happens January 11th.
And thank you, Jesse. Joe, same question for you. Big opportunity for you. How did training camp go, and what do you think of Jesse Hart?
Yeah, training camp went well for me. It's one of my best camps so far. Definitely in my best shape ever. And I know I have a lot to prove. I feel once again, and I want to come, January 11th and prove it. And I'm looking at this fight, as a chance to get myself out there again, to show that I belong, in title fights. And I'm looking to, prove that. So I want to do put on a great show for the fans and hopefully get a title shot or something else big after this. It's always personal with me as well. I'm personal for me, and I'm also fighting for my family and other things. I want to better my life, and the way to do it is by getting in there and putting on a great show and moving forward with my career.
Thank you, Joe. And now that Joe and Jesse have spoken with their opening statements, we will kick it over to the media for questions.
And as a reminder, to ask a question, that'll be star and 1. We'll go ahead and take our first question from Dan Raphael with ESPN. Your line is open.
Thank you very much. Had a couple of questions for Joe. Hey, Joe, how are you? Joe Smith, that is, not Joe DeGuardia. Nothing personal, Joe DeGuardia. Hey, Joe. Then I got you. Joe, when you hear Jesse talk about his mentality of not caring about getting a title fight or not using this as a springboard for a bigger fight, but just wanting to avenge the loss that his circumstances seems to me in a significant boxing event.
Yes, but either way, he's still in there to prove himself and what he has to do.
Now, I think when you're at the press conference in New York City that Todd referred to at the beginning of his comments, if I remember correctly, you said that before they brought this fight to your attention, before Joe brought it to your attention, you really didn't even know who Jesse Hart was, and then he's sitting there next to you, saying all the things he said about, trying to avenge, the loss to Hopkins. Had you never heard of Jesse prior to that? I mean, he had fought for super middleweight title 2 times, had been, on some big cards, etc. I mean, were you totally unfamiliar with him prior to that, this fight coming your way?
Yeah, well, I was unfamiliar with him really until they mentioned him about wanting to fight me, pretty much. But
so when they said that he wanted to fight you, did you know what the reason was at that time, or you didn't know that until he said what he said at the press conference?
Well, I was told that was the reason. And
okay. And when they told you that, what was your initial reaction?
I mean, if that's what he feels he's fighting for, good for him. I mean, that's but me, I'm fighting for become a world champion.
Okay. Todd, are you there? I have a question for you.
Yep, fire away.
When you hear Jesse talk the way he spoke about, how important this is because of the Hopkins fight, you as a promoter, do you think that's good for that mentality to be in your boxer's mind, or should it be not as emotional, let's say?
Well, that's a feeling that he has, right? But I also think it's, I think great athletes have great role models in their life, and great people that they look up to that are motivational for them. Obviously, Jesse being brought up in the fight town of Philly and seeing Bernard Hopkins being kind of the poster boy for one of the greatest fighters ever to come out of Philly, represents something to him. So for him to have this actual motivational, like, hey, I want to make good on something. I want to do something for my community and do something to, bring back for what Bernard Hopkins, somebody did to him. I think that's all within himself and his own motivation and desires. So I think it's good. Some people have different things that make them tick. And obviously this is an important one because he expressed it very clearly in New York about this was redemption for him.
All right, very good. Thank you very much, guys. And I'll see you guys in Atlantic City. Appreciate it.
And we'll take our next question from Ahmad Austin with the Press of Atlantic City. The line is open.
I want to start with Jesse. You mentioned, well, of course, you mentioned how this is a more personal bout. Has there been a target on Joe's back since that 2016 fight? Describe your emotions when you saw your big brother go down like that.
It's definitely been a target on Joe's back. I was just at the right time. Timing is everything. When I seen it, I was really hurt because I like like Todd just explained that he was the poster boy. He inspired me. He inspired me. He inspired the little kid to be great, not to be average, not to be good, not to be accepted, but to be great. And it's very hard to do that in a poverty-stricken area of North Florida that we come from. My father, he was there, but he never got the chance to fight for a world title. So when my dad used to look at Bernard, he's like, that's how it's supposed to be done. This is how it's supposed to be. Bernard is a prime example of, you got to look, my dad is my coach. Hart is my coach, but my dad is telling me he did it right, how he does things, how Bernard handles things, how, he take care of his body, how he fights, how he models himself, what he came from. Just because you come from North Philly, it's a poverty-stricken area of North Philly, doesn't mean you lay down. Doesn't mean you stop fighting. Doesn't mean, so when you got that, and then at 9 years old, Bernard Hopkins was calling my father, and they would have talk. My dad would put Bernard on the phone with me, and it would be like, he would always encourage me. It's time to get in the gym. You got to start running another mile, Jesse. These are the things that Bernard tells me. That inspiration. The inspiration. We all inspired by somebody, whether it's whoever it may be. As little boys, we all inspired. That was the inspiration, and the inspiration was Hurt. Because that's the guy that I model. That's the guy who in 2022, I think they're going to build a statue of Bernard in North Philadelphia. For all the things that he accomplished, all what he came from, and he didn't lay down. So that's the thing that inspires me. That inspiration in 2016 was devastating. Hurt is an understatement. So if you ask me, what was it? Why it's so personal with that? That little boy, the kid that was inspired to become the fighter I am today. We can never go where we're headed if we don't understand where we was at, the past. So that past, that stigma is Hurt.
All right, and I got a question for Joe. Describe what it would do for your career for you to bounce back from the Dimitri loss and take out a top fighter like Jesse Hart. What would that mean for your career?
I think it'll mean a lot. I believe it'll prove that I belong with the top guys in the division, and I believe I could get another title shot out of it.
All right, that'll do it for me. Thank you very much. I'll see you guys on Saturday.
And our next question comes from Joseph Santoliquito with Ring Magazine. The line is open.
Hey, Jesse, how you doing?
How you doing?
Jesse, hey. Listen, first question. How much more confident do you come into this fight knowing you pretty much dominated Sullivan Barrera and knowing he pretty much dominated Joe?
Well, that's the tag. That's the tag. You know what I'm saying? Joe, picking fighters is that for me to see. And I'm coming in confident, but I'm more so confident is the boxing ability. Confident is, what I'm going to do. I'm not saying that I'm in this fight. I'm not saying I'm going to win it. I'm saying that I got to come in and hurt Joe Smith to the best of my ability because he hurt me personally and internally. It's not about who won, who beats out, because I might not fight the way I fought Sullivan Barrera. Who knows? I might step to Joe and see Joe. I might go blow for blow. We both got power. You know what I'm saying? That's what that's what I want to do. I don't know what how nobody else thinking about this, but this